Hi everybody, welcome back to Virtue's Voyager. My name is Lizzy. Today we're going to be talking about what is a virtue. So I've been doing a little bit of digging and I just, of course, as usual, Googled the definition and it said behavior showing a high moral standard. To me, that doesn't really mean very much. And I think that virtues are very overlooked in our world. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about what I think virtues are. So my definition of virtues leans more towards the idea that there are certain traits or actions in many societies all over the world that are considered to be positive and that are considered something that you can develop or practice. And I think that that's really cool because it doesn't mean that you just have to be born with these things. It means that if you practice them, you can get better at them. And it kind of feels like all these little puzzle pieces of yourself that you can latch onto and practice until, you know, like level up the game. And I think that's really fun in that way, but also they can be really beneficial to communities and to the people around you, because the more that you practice your virtues and things, and the more that you notice virtues in other people, the more that we can see what your strengths are and what the benefits of certain individuals are. And so I think that's really cool because then we can also complement those, and that feels so much better than just, hey, I like your shoes. Like if somebody says, hey, I think you were really courageous today. I saw that you were scared and you did that anyway, and that was really amazing that you were able to do that. Like that compliment, our society needs more of that. Like I just think that's so beautiful. So virtues, if we want some concrete examples, there's some really common ones like kindness and honesty and patience are really valued virtues around here. But there's also some more uncommon ones like tact and mercy. And I think it's really cool that there's so many options. So there's tons of lists about different virtues that you can practice. But I think that it's beautiful that there's so many different ways of communicating and being and having and holding these virtues in our world. And I wanted to bring a more concrete example of, okay, what are these different virtues that cultures have and how can we utilize them to kind of come home to ourselves and find our authentic selves? Because if we don't ever practice all of the available options, then how are we going to know what we value? And that brings me to my next point of values. You might ask, what's the difference between a virtue and a value? And I think that's a really important question because they seem very, very similar, but there's one distinct difference. And the difference is that a value is a virtue that you personally really find important. So I might find patience really important, and somebody else might find honesty really, really important. So values can be different from culture to culture and also from individual to individual. And that doesn't mean that another individual is wrong just because they hold different values than you. It just means that the virtues that they use to get them through their lives and that they prefer are different than yours. And so maybe you guys can learn from each other and see how that might be valuable in your own life. And if you decide that that's not a virtue that you feel like is super pertinent and important to right now in your life, that's okay too. It just means that you have other ones that you might have developed more or that are more applicable. So that's kind of my definition of virtues, is just these things that we can use and experience in a way that we can kind of do some self-discovery, because there's not a lot of things that can help you with self-discovery that are so like easy to see and easy to list out. A lot of stuff is really nebulous, like, oh, just be yourself. There's a lot of advice like that. Just be yourself. It's like, okay, but what if I don't know who I am? And what if who I am tomorrow is different than who I am today? But virtues, they're always there, and you can always go back to them. And if you need to set them aside for a moment, like one specific one to use another one, that's absolutely okay. That's the cool thing about it. You can kind of pick and choose, but the more you learn how to use them, the more tools you have in your toolbox. So that's my opinion on the difference between values and virtues and why I use them in my life. If you'd like to hear more, feel free to subscribe or give us a follow, because I'll be back with more. You can also join us for Self-Care Sundays, which is a way that we can intentionally end one week and start the next. So thanks so much for joining me today.